And now I would like to introduce you to Jane Ellul. Jane is the mother of a child with KAT6A and community development worker at Community Junction. Jane is the mother of Carter, who has a rare condition, KAT6A. Carter was diagnosed at 4.5 years of age after going into a genetic trial. Jane and her family have been spreading awareness of the day with family, friends and community to build better opportunities in the future for children like Carter with rare disease. Thank you, Jane, and welcome.
Thank you, Heather. So my name is Jane, as Heather just introduced me, and I'd just like to say thank you to Belinda and Dal for their presentations. It was really insightful as well. And I'd just like to acknowledge the Dalek people of Colleton, the traditional owners of this land. So I'm just here to talk about the journey we've had with Carter. I don't have any slides or photos. I'm just going to tell you how it is. So Carter was born in 2014. Our pregnancy was normal. There was nothing abnormal at all that showed up. When my waters broke, we rushed to hospital and we found out he was breech. I had to go under an emergency cesarean to have him born. So I was actually knocked out and he was rushed to special care. There was some problems that happened, which included breathing. He was very tiny. He was 2.4 kilos when he was born. He had different features to us. And so over time, we spent a fair bit of time in special care at Blacktown, and they did notice some problems with Carter that wasn't necessarily in the norm. I remember our time, they're very vivid still to this day. He is now 8. And I remember one morning when the pediatricians were doing their rounds and they're having their conversations, and the pediatrician said to me that we have found, you know, that Carter has some features that are different. He's not feeding well. He's got high and low muscle tone. We would like to do some genetic testing. At that time, for us, or for me, unfortunately, my husband wasn't able to be there because he was with our elder son. I took everything in. I did ask questions, but it didn't stay in, if that made sense. So after the pediatrician had left, I went into a room by myself and I cried. And the midwives were very lovely at the special care unit we were at, and one of them came in and explained it a bit better and in common terms. And she also asked if I would like her to explain it to my husband, who was on his way, because I had texted him saying, you need to get up here ASAP. So through our time, we've done the genetic tests, we've done multiples of tests, which a lot of people have already spoken that they've done. And the genetics test came back with nothing, negative. All the other tests had come back with nothing. So we were able to leave after a month of special care. Carter started putting on some weight and he was able to drink from the bottle. I think we got up to 40 mils. But it had to be a special bottle for him. Our follow-up included to visit geneticists at Westmead Children's Hospital, and that's where we met Dr. Jeannie Smith. She looked at him, she knows the differences between him and I. She knows that he had a hoarse cry, very tiny cry, which I forgot to say at the start. She knows that he had a small jaw, his forehead was very prominent. There was just features, and his nose was very broad. So there was just all this sort of stuff that she had noticed. So we went and done another test. That test came back with nothing. Through this time, we were doing lots of tests. We've done tests with ENT for his throat. We had done MRIs. We have done all sorts of stuff that comes with it. Dr. we visited Dr. Jeannie Smith a couple of times, and she referred us to Parramatta Early Childhood Assessment Team, where they assessed it that he had an intellectual disability. Mind you, I should have said that Carter wasn't meeting his milestones either at this stage. He started walking pretty late at about 2.5, and he's nonverbal now. He hasn't spoken. He didn't roll over, all the normal milestones that would happen normally. So we were referred to the early childhood team, and they had concluded that he was global delay, and he also was severe intellectual disability. Within that time, we had started seeing a physiotherapist who referred us to Kids Rehab Clinic in Westmead Children for cerebral palsy. Carter got diagnosed at 3.5 with cerebral palsy. And even then, it was something rare. It was ataxic cerebral palsy. So we visited Dr. Jeannie Smith again, and she was not happy with just having that diagnosis, as well as the global delay development diagnosis. And she knew about a trial, and she asked if we would like to go on it. We said yes. So this was a trial for genetic testing and sequencing. And the main idea of this was to be able to determine the impact on, how sequencing would help families. And I think they say that 20,000 genes get tested within this test. So throughout this time, we've done the tests. So my husband and I got our bloods taken, and Carter's bloods were previously taken, and they're all sent. We hadn't heard from Dr. Jeannie Smith for a fair while. And I said to my husband, it's probably a week before we actually did hear from her, I don't think they found anything. Then we got the phone call saying, you guys need to come in. So Carter, David and I went into Westmead Children to go and see Dr. Jeannie Smith. While in the waiting room, I said to David, once again, I don't think they found anything, because all I've been told for 4.5 years, they haven't found anything. Except for the cerebral palsy, of course. So we went in, and she goes, I have some news for you. We have found something. At that moment of time, I have to say, I had quite mixed feelings. One that, oh my God, they found something, this is what we wanted. And then another thing was, oh my God, they found something. My child, there's something there for my child. But I was relieved, I have to say. Dr. Jeannie Smith said that Carter was diagnosed with KAT6A. At that time, Carter was the first in Sydney to be diagnosed with it, and the 4th in Australia to be diagnosed with it. And at that time, there was less than 150 in the world that was diagnosed with KAT6A. Dr. Jeannie Smith let me know that there was a group on Facebook that I could be in contact with. As soon as we left the hospital, I'm pretty sure while I was in the car park, I started looking for KAT6A support group. They were fantastic. They were able to connect me with people straight away in Australia. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. With that support from this foundation, it has given, just to know that there's people out there who could support us in different ways, and it's not just supporting us with equipment or necessarily all the information. It's just to know that what we're going through, they're going through. I like to go back to what Belinda and Ellul said. The support that we got was not just from the KAT6A family. We have been fortunate enough to have support from the start in different ways, from the midwives who supported us, from our therapists who never judged not knowing what Carter had or didn't have, from Dr. Jeannie Smith, who just didn't want to give up on finding out what was going on, from family and friends. So yeah, that's our story. Carter is non-verbal, but he has so much character. He is known by lots of people as a koala bear because he's a big hugger, and he can brighten any room up with his smile. So I hope today I've been able to help people in some sort of way, even if it's just something as simple as to see your pediatrician and say, hey, I think I need to see a geneticist. So thank you guys for having me and letting me speak about our journey.